Every guy's worst nightmare when meeting your Filipina for the first time is realising that she's not the same person as she was when chatting to her online for those many months. And if this happens, what is it that you should do? And does this mean the end of the relationship? These questions and more will be answered within this video. So be sure to stay with me here. Now think back to the first time that you started chatting with your Filipina online. And at that time, you guys were simply chatmates who may have been curious to get to know more about one another to see if there was any real possibility for a future together. As the days and months of chatting went by, you would have most likely noticed that the Filipina started to open up and trust you more, and vice versa as well, which is certainly how things should progress. The reason for this is because she was getting more comfortable chatting to you online in the virtual world, where there's less risks in a sense because you're in another country and she can easily walk away if she sees something that she doesn't like. Simply, a virtual relationship is like a security blanket compared to being there physically with each other every day. Now don't get me wrong, feelings can increase for one another via the internet, especially when people spend many hours every week chatting to one another. But still, it isn't quite the same as being physically together. Now, when you're finally meeting your Filipina for the first time in the Philippines, there's much anticipation and questions that will come to both your minds, which of course is only natural. And most of those questions that come into your mind will be things that most likely won't even eventuate, especially if you took your time to find a genuine Filipina. But still, one can never be totally sure until you meet her for the first time and spend plenty of quality time together. So what happens after you arrive in the Philippines and you meet each other in person for that very first time, and you didn't get the greeting that you may have envisaged or expected? We see on many YouTube videos foreigners and Filipinas meeting for that very first time, mostly at airports, where the Filipina runs up to the man and gives him a hug or a kiss. Now, you may feel as though you've got to know your Filipina very well after many months of video calls and telling each other about how you feel. You may think that your first meeting will be very similar to that of the videos you've seen. And for many, it certainly will be. But for others, how do you react, or what do you think, if the Filipina at that time is rather more subdued or standoffish? What if she just walks slowly to you at the airport with half a smile and is reluctant to give you any sort of a hug or kiss, or perhaps she doesn't hug or kiss you at all? How do you react to that after you thought you guys had built a very solid base for the relationship via the many hours of video chats? Here's the thing you need to understand, and simply, it may not be an issue at all, or it could spell the end of the relationship, and I'll cover both here. Firstly, let's look quickly at why it could spell the end of the relationship, and then I'll spend a little more time telling you why it may not be an issue at all. It could be that now you're there in person, the reality is hitting home hard, and perhaps she's having second thoughts, or perhaps you look different in person to what you did on camera. Height, weight, appearance, etc. Or perhaps she was never really into you in the first place and was happy to keep a so-called online relationship going because maybe she was getting some money from you. Or another alternative could be that she has a secret life that you don't know about, where she has a husband and kids and she's been doing a couple scam on you from the start. But who really knows what this sort of Filipina's motives really are? I really do believe that this scenario is less likely to be a problem if you've taken time online to get to know her as fully as one can online. Now, there are reasons why I say the greeting that you received, which was less than expected, may not be an issue. And this is totally for you to decide. In a sense, you're now starting the relationship all over again, and as such, she's gone back into her shell much the same way as she did when you very first made contact online. And you may think that she has no reason to do this, as you know each other very well. But the reality is that knowing someone online is far different to knowing them and being able to give over your trust to them in person. That safety net that she had online has now disappeared, and she's now more vulnerable than ever to you, and she knows it. Many Filipinas may have been through many hardships or disappointments in life, and they may not want to open themselves up to easily being disappointed again. Whilst she may really like you, she knows that the relationship is now becoming real and entering into a whole new phase where in her mind she may have far more to lose. And the other point to consider here is that to some Filipinas, public displays of affection are not something that they may be comfortable with, and she may simply wish to give you a hug or a kiss once away from other people. So don't be shocked if this happens, and certainly don't be hurt or upset. Just wait and see how things play out over the next few hours. Now let me stress again that not all Filipinas will react this way at the very first meeting, but some do, and guys should be aware of this, so if it happens, you know the reasons why, and you know how to handle it. But make no mistakes, you now need to get to know one another all over again at a whole new level. Yes, for sure, you guys may have the basic information about each other, but this time it's about how you guys gel together as a couple, and it's a totally different matter to trusting someone online to learning to trust them in person. And this is why I always say that when you do meet your Filipina for the first time, don't be in a hurry to escalate the relationship. Be patient and respectful to get to know each other all over again in person by spending quality time together. That way, neither you or her will feel rushed and things will seem far more natural, which will allow the two of you to relax and, of course, start to connect with each other much more quickly. I do see some guys who arrive at the airport and straight away expect the Filipina will go with him back to his hotel room for a bit of action. And to me, this can be a big mistake, as it's showing each other the relationship is more about a physical one than about a relationship of substance. And aside from that, as I say, you really want to see how you guys get on together in person before you can be sure you guys are actually right for one another. And if you are patient enough to take your time online, then practice the same patience in the first couple of weeks after meeting in person. Be sure to get to know her more and enjoy a relaxing and fun time together before stepping the relationship up to that of a more serious one. Doing this will certainly give you and your Filipina more confidence in knowing that a strong foundation has been set for a successful long-term relationship. Not to mention that it will show much respect to the Filipina, and it will allow her parents and family to know that you're doing right and caring for their daughter or sibling. For those looking for more valuable information and insight into meeting your Filipina for the very first time, I have a dedicated playlist series you can check out in the card on screen now. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.